God of War Laufey, narratively speaking, is shaping up to be the biggest piece of garbage I've seen since 1348. Based on the statements made by Jimmy Myers and Elise Morgan, they have clearly been salivating over this moment since Ragnarok. In this new release, not only will you be playing as a fucking ugly woman in her 40s with a wart on her face, but she'll also be the most superlative entity to have ever existed because she's a woman. And of course, because how they possibly leave it out, there is the obligatory shitty mascot, because the protagonist is a woman, so let's give her a cute pink animal. Of course. Right from the start, she displays powers she doesn't even understand how to use, but after a one-line crash course about fucking emotions, she suddenly understands perfectly how to use them to their fullest potential because she's yet another fucking Mary Sue. Even though it's never explained why the enemies want to keep her alive, they conveniently imprison her right next to a fucking jelly cube that's hidden under a blanket, in plain sight for everyone to see because fucking millennial humor. The bad guys are bad because they are abusing cute animals too, naturally. On top of that, the two big bosses are a man and, more importantly, a woman who is conveniently spared by the script because since the protagonist is another woman, of course the final boss is going to be a woman as well. I don't know that for a fact, but I certainly don't doubt it. As if all this shit wasn't enough, conveniently impaled inside the fucking jelly cube, which is originally called Frank, more millennial humor, it's gonna be the answer to everything. The script is filled with conveniently because fucking writers like Jimmy and Elise don't have a single fucking ounce of creativity in their bodies, and everything has to be a change of coincidences, cosmic convergences, and planetary alignments. That's why, paradoxically, the sword is not only going to be the answer and solution to everything, not only the key that reveals the mysteries of the universe, literally, but also an absurdly overpowered entity. And it's for that exact same reason that either the sword or the fucking ribbon tied to it has female voice, because obviously it has to be that way. Meanwhile, the enemies are so fucking brain dead that the opening dialogue already establishes that the sword is something they fear, and yet they still let it there, impaled in the fucking jelly cube. God, the only way to find this script good or coherent is to have brain damage, and on top of that, to have lost 90% of your brain in a fucking car accident. And if all this shit still wasn't enough, during combat it was shown that the cube is going to be the comedy of the story because it'll be bouncing back and forth into enemies, since everything related to it appeared to be either environmental or cinematic because it doesn't affect gameplay mechanics and the player doesn't seem to have any control over its actions, at least judging from the two videos shown. Frank is going to provide the comedy at all times because only a fucking millennial writer could find garbage like that funny. Honestly, after watching the trailer, I was already annoyed by the insult that this story is. But then, I listened to Jimmy and Elise talk about it, its background, and how they were explaining the reasons behind everything with such unbelievable fucking stupid justifications that for a moment I thought they were doing rage bait. Then, I remembered David Jaffe's statement over the last few years, and suddenly everything made sense. Seriously, the entire fucking script of what we've seen so far and which I have no doubt will maintain its consistency throughout the entire fucking game, is a crime against humanity. Not even the Nazis dare to go this far. In fact, writing garbage like this should be qualified for capital punishment, because narratives of this kind serve no purpose other than causing brain damage to an entire generation of players so they can become habitual consumers of Sony products. But not everything is bad, there is something good. Sony recently declared that all their single player games are going to be exclusive to Sony PlayStation. Actually, I think it's gonna be Sony PlayStation 5. And since PlayStation users in their immense majority are used to eating shit, enjoy your meal.